What's up, YouTube Nation? And welcome to D. Holloway's Midlife Takeover, where it's never too late to pursue life on your own terms and your own time because you absolutely deserve it. All right, so let's get into this video. It finally happened. It finally happened to me. I finally lost money on a real estate deal. You see, I've been working a gig and investing in real estate on the side for like the past 10 years. I mean, I've bought rental properties, I've hotel houses where I bought it, cleaned it up and listed it on the MLS and didn't do any rehab work to it and sold it. And I've also went in and remodeled houses and flipped them. So up until this point, I never lost money on a deal. But I just completed a recent flip where it sold, and I'm definitely projecting that I'm going to lose somewhere in the 10K range. Now, I haven't done my final reconciliation in QuickBooks, but definitely projecting somewhere around a 10K loss. And I was projecting to make around 30K on this deal. I know there are a lot of people out there who are interested in investing in real estate. So don't worry, I'm not here to scare you out of it. I'm actually a big proponent of investing in real estate, and I plan to triple down on my efforts. But what I want to talk to you about is the 5 reasons that I lost money on this particular deal, in my opinion. Now, I'm going to get into the details after this quick public service announcement. If you've been thinking about breaking out of the matrix and pursuing life on your own terms and your own time, and you find this journey interesting, consider subscribing to my channel, where we're going to share a ton of life lessons, financial lessons, and how this all intersects with our family and our relationships and so forth. Also, if you take something valuable away from this video, please hit that like button and share this video with your friends and your family. Also, hit that post notification bell so that you know when we drop a new video. Now, back to the video. So here are my 5 reasons for why I lost money on this particular deal. Now, some of the reasons may seem less important than others, but they all contributed to me losing money, in my opinion. So the first reason is I was buying more houses than usual. I heard an investor say on a podcast once that if you're not losing money on some houses, it means you're not buying enough houses. And I've always worked a full-time job, so I only flipped about 4 houses a year. So I was able to be very conservative on my numbers, and I always exceeded my targets. And in this case, I was flipping 4 houses at once. So I have to chalk some of this up to the fact that I was simply buying more houses and taking more risks. So the second reason is the most common reason. I missed on my after repair value. That's the value of the house after it's all fixed up and remodeled. So just for context, I am generally flipping houses between the $250,000 to $375,000 range. And on this particular case, I absolutely misjudged the impact of the current interest rate environment, the fact that we were in the winter season, the average days on market data within that particular area, and just the general appetite of the buyers for this particular type of house product. Ultimately, that led to me missing out on my ARV by about $20,000. The third reason is that I changed my rehab strategy midstream. I did more configuring of the kitchen than I had originally planned. So I ended up moving the dishwasher and sink to a middle island and built a new island with new countertops. And that required me to have to obviously run new water lines and so forth and electrical. And then I moved the appliances that were in the middle of the kitchen to the cabinet wall. And that required me to move plumbing lines to the wall. So ended up spending more money than I originally had planned to do. In addition, there was like an old ADU that someone had, I guess, basically converted from a garage. And this thing was like rotted, falling down. And I decided, instead of just tearing it down and putting up a carport, which I could have gotten away with in this particular neighborhood, I decided to rebuild the 2-car garage like new. And the goal was, hey, I think it'll make it a better product and I could get these things back in the resale value. But obviously, I was not getting them back with missing out on my ARV. So the fourth thing is, I didn't physically stage the property. I chose to virtually stage to save money because obviously I knew that I had incurred more cost on the rehab budget. So I needed to cut somewhere, and I did in virtual staging versus physical staging. And that allowed me to miss out on the opportunity to give people that vision when they walk into the home, because it's a quirky kind of layout. And I think that if I had physically staged it, it would have given people that vision to say, oh, you know, this is something that I can do, even though the layout is a little funky on this particular house, because it was a historic house. And I just totally missed that opportunity. And as a result, it took longer to sell the house. This is the longest that I've ever had to hold a house to sell it. And I think that physical staging could have helped me out a little bit. As a result, took longer to sell, incurred more holding costs. So number 5, I stepped out of my lane. I bought the wrong house. You see, my bread and butter is 1980 through 2000s houses, single story in the suburbs, either 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage. I can bang these out all day. But in this case, I decided to buy a house that was a 1940s build. It was 2-story. It had a detached garage. It was siding. Didn't have an open floor plan or anything like that. That's the house I chose, which was totally different from any other house that I've rehabbed. This house was located in a historic district, and I simply underestimated the quirkiness of the home and how people would feel about it, particularly the upstairs. The downstairs was pretty much kind of normal, I would say, for lack of a better term. But the upstairs, you had the bedrooms that had like the steep pitched ceilings, slanted walls, and it didn't have closets. So you didn't have a lot of closet space upstairs, and the hallways were kind of quirky as they had like one wall kind of slanted on the side. Again, this was a house built in the 40s, so it was what it was at that particular time, and we were not going to go in and out, obviously, you know, convert any of that stuff, because we would have spent a ton of money. But I underestimated how much of a turnoff it would be for people. All of the feedback we received was about the upstairs. I mean, the downstairs was fine. You had a sunroom with lots of windows that overlooked the deck. It looked really nice, but the upstairs was just so quirky. And all of the agents who showed the property, and we actually had about 30 showings, and a lot of the people just said, hey, the layout upstairs was just too quirky, and the lack of closet space. And what I could have done really on this particular property was, because the prior owners took good care of the property, I could have cleaned this property out and not done all this work and just listed it on the MLS and probably made $10,000 and didn't have to do any of this work. You would think that I'd be upset about this particular project, right? And losing money. Well, I'm not. It was a reminder for me that, hey, stay in your lane of expertise and just do what you're good at. And this was just an education. That's all it was. I'm going to keep pushing. As a matter of fact, I'm tripling down on my efforts already. We already have one project that we sold the week after that we netted about $37,000. I have a closing coming up next week that we're going to make about $40,000 to $45,000 on. We just started a rehab project, and we have another under contract to close soon. And these are all bread and butter projects, 80s to 2000s, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage. I am done with the 1930s and 1940s houses. I've done 2 now, and it is too much work for me. The product is too quirky, so I'm just going to stay in my lane. So there you have it. I finally lost money on a deal. If you've ever stepped out of your lane and got burned, I'd love to hear what you learned in the process and how you responded. In the meantime, take care, be safe in these social media streets.